So now we have also surface here, so we can again click on that plane 3, use sketch, and again use like a 40mm line here that we can then attach to this point. So it's now 63, select 40, and I can just close that sketch down, and again use 3D sketches, put the spline tool up there again, and I can just draw one line here. And from all angles again, just check that that line is gonna be like as smooth as possible. So here I'm gonna just drag it down and select that this line is supposed to be at 0 degrees, so to make sure that it doesn't point out or poke at anything. And then I'm gonna just relax everything else and don't even touch it, because that will kind of make the pattern follow its yeah, kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but just makes it as smooth as possible without interfering within the design, I guess. So now also I'm gonna check it from the side angle, because I still wanted to kind of follow that guide curvature. And then you can drag that point out once and kind of select this line while holding down control. And if you hold down control, it will kind of select both this line point and also this curvature. And then you can select tangent. It's not working most of the time. That is also like one of the tips that I can give you, that you can select the tangent point and it will kind of stay attached to that line perfectly without kind of messing it up, I guess. But in this case, it doesn't really work too good, but you can do it by hand too still. And you can see that this just stays at 0 if you do it from the side angle, because that will not change like the angle that you take here. So at this point I'm pretty satisfied with that line, but I don't want it to come out until that point. So you can see here, if I'm not at this the straight on angle, that it will change. So yeah, let me use that angle. I guess I do have to use the line here to kind of correct it. I just don't want the widest point to be like somewhere down here. I want the widest point to be also like across from the center section of the wheel. So right here is supposed to be where the widest point is. So I'm satisfied with it now. So now I can just use the surface loft again, select this point at the bottom, deselect this line, and select this surface here. And then we can use this as a guide curvature, and then we'll be good. And from about here, I guess I want to make another line that would kind of resemble the hood of a car, but not really. I don't know if you guys know about the Honda, or the, maybe it's the NSX in the United States, but or the Acura even, I should say. But they have like a Daytona prototype for like the American IMSA races, that kind of has a similar design to this one right here, that you have like a cross section that is kind of flowing all around the car, but that there's like no real purpose for it. It's just like an aerodynamic piece to kind of keep the air attached, I guess. So that is something that I want to put in there too, but it's like a structural and aerodynamic piece that I want to put in there, and that also will have a lot of design benefits for me. So here from this line I can attach like where the hood line would sit, and that would then in turn kind of determine where the positioning would be for the headlights on the car. So again, from the top view, I'm until here, I think something like that is kind of where the hood section would be, and then here the headlights would start. So again, for this line, kind of find that point until it is as close as 0 as possible, like there's no angle in between it. And then you can also see here it says minus 189, so then put it at minus 90, and then it's perfect. And then you can kind of drag this line up a little bit closer like that. Should it kind of be further forward than this section, or should it be a little bit behind it still? I think it should be a little bit further, but then we can maybe add like a splitter that sticks out a little bit more than this does. So that is fine. So at this point, I always have like a little bit of a signature design within my headlights to kind of make them come off of that hood line right there. And I kind of want to do something similar to keep it within the family tree of all of my car designs, but I kind of want to modernize it for the 2040 project. So I'm gonna make them hollow and do them like a little bit different than I did before, but they will still kind of look similar. So For this, again, I wanted to use like that same design language, I guess. So yeah, that would kind of be it. And then I think from this point I can close it off right here, but then I would need to figure out where to land that line specifically. I think somewhere here would do. So here you could already kind of see like the thing that I'm trying to do, but I need to make it a little bit more with a curvature to it. So from this is the rear angle, from the front angle, you can kind of see that the separating is pieces right here, but I kind of want that line to come up already here, but then have this line kind of do that. So that is just basically the whole principle, using 3D sketches and then converting them to surfaces. That is basically everything. So yeah, I think this is kind of it what I want to achieve, but let's drag this a little bit more towards this side. Also from this point to this point, I'm gonna create an outline, because these are just like the important pieces that you want to have together before filling in like everything. So again, take a 3D sketch. That is one of the most important things that I can give you, like sketch 3D sketch. That is one of the biggest tools that I use continuously in SolidWorks to kind of fix a lot of stuff that I'm working on. So from the top surface, again, kind of draw a surface that is diving inward, I guess, because I want to shrink wrap it as close as possible, and you kind of want to get that very feminine Coke bottle style shape within there to also make the rear look as wide as possible, just like having hips coming downward from like a small waist. That looks sexy on a woman, it looks sexy on a car too. So that is also something that I always put in there for sure. And then to have them come out at this point right there, so then you would have like them trimming inward, and to kind of keep this a little bit more towards the side, because you kind of want it to flow nicely inside all of them, and then kick out immediately, like a little bit more aggressive than the previous one. So you would kind of get something like that. And I think, like, from a design standpoint, we can all agree that that would look hella sexy on a thing like this. So again, use the sketch, or my bad, I should say the plane 3, and then a regular sketch, not a 3D sketch. And then I take this point right here, and from the bottom view, I guess, I'm gonna kind of draw an outline of where the wheel would sit, because you would think like I could draw the point right here, but at the same time that wheel would also need to be turning and going in both directions. So you need to keep a little bit of a space safer between. So I'm gonna draw the point up until there, and do the same for the rear, because it will still pivot. So you would also need a little bit of more space right there. And then I would kind of have a point where all of that air that is kind of flowing underneath the car would be able to evacuate to. So that would be, yeah, kind of reminiscent to that point on the line, even though it is not the same thing. Like, you would still be able to exit air right there. So I would need to put like a 3D sketch up this point right here that kind of mirrors the guide pattern, the curvature pattern of this line right here. So I'm gonna take it from the side angle and kind of do a similar thing to what it was doing before, something like that. But I kind of need to figure out a way to integrate it with the rest of the shape right here. So this will kind of be the section of where air is exiting from a piece of the floor right here. So I'm gonna make like a little bit of a separation that I can maybe even have like a higher indentation between the passengers, that the similar thing you would have a double bubble roof, that you would also have like a double bubble under tray, I guess, something like that. I have never seen that on a car before. I don't know a car that has that. That is kind of interesting. But I was also saying that I want to put like the batteries right there. So I kind of need to make a consideration of what would be the optimum position for everything before I do those things. I think I would still have space in there too. If I would make like a transmission tunnel that has 2 layers to it. So one of them would be like a little bit of a double bubble situation that, like I said, you would have the actual aerodynamic effect, that you would be able to keep the frontal area down, but the other one would be just to house the battery, so it would kind of sit up there. That would raise the center of mass of the car, but that is something aerodynamically that I've never seen before, and I'm kind of interested in that right now. So also kind of you'll be able to like also make the diffuser a little bit more extreme too. I don't know, now I'm interested in that fact too. This is costing me way too much time right now. Okay, without kind of drooling all over myself too much, I'm gonna continue with that front section to kind of show also how to create panels, and then I'm gonna just keep recording the video, but I'm gonna turn it into like a speed art video, because I need to like listen to music and do a bunch of stuff at the same time while making this car, because that is just a little bit how my brain works, like you can see when I'm making this video too. So again, I'm gonna use the right plane, click on sketch, and kind of drag this line downward, because I want to make a really like over exaggerated bottom section that has a curvature like this, because if you have a curvature on the bottom section that it needs that lets the air follow like a way longer guide curve than the top section, then just like the principle I was explaining a couple of minutes ago, this would then kind of suck the car to the ground and create downforce, instead of having like big wings and splitters and stuff like that to kind of do the same. So with the rear, I kind of wanted to come out from this line, but I'm not really going to use that line because I want to make a double bubble roof to it too. So let's just draw it still, and then we kind of have a guideline for the rest of it, and then we can mod it later on. So we would first have like a roof section right there. I should maybe look at it from a rear perspective first. So we would first have that roof line right there, and then we would make that come down all the way. Maybe I should make this a little bit wider than I usually do, because there are actually like two people in there. So what is the distance from that line to his head? Yeah, that is fine, because I can draw around that. Okay, so then we would have like a little bit of a bread fan for our 250 type shape to it, I guess, but it's gonna be way more extreme. It's like 2 meters and 8 centimeters wide at the back, so I think we can make it look way more distinctive and aggressive than that thing did. Also like add a little bit of a point right there, and then the final point will be somewhere on the fender line to make everything come together right there. So I think because of the 3D sketch that really messed up, but we can fix that with no issue. Then what I can do is to kind of add a drag point, or sketch I should say, with a spline from this point up until this point, and I'm gonna just drag it up to here and then create some other lines in the middle there, and then make it follow all the way through up until there. So that is kind of why I wanted that point in there, to make it like have some place to go. So that curvature, at least on the front wheel, I really want it to be like flat, and also this point should be a little bit more sharpened. Yeah, that looks way aggressive. That is cool as hell right now. So I'm gonna start with like actually doing some design stuff with, instead of just putting down lines that I can already also see something from it. What I wanted to do was to start off with just the overall fender section, so I'm gonna finish those off. So again, like this line will then attach to this one, but this point will then attach here and also here, and then we can kind of find a point where it would sit on that line too. And you can see here that it's kind of, you know, that is not the way it's supposed to be, but we can add a tendency control too in this section and kind of drag it down. So that is kind of where you get to see how that actual line would look, that you see the curvatures and everything. And I think for these lines it's more important that this section is kind of actually flat too, and that we would have like a little bit of a trimmed accent but still kind of some effect in there. That is kind of very McLaren Speedtail-ish, I guess. That is a little bit reminiscent of that shape. And that is also one of the great automotive quotes that I heard on a car review. I think it was when Autocar was testing that new BMW M5 against like E63 or something, and they were talking about those cars having very similar engine platforms with like V8 bi-turbo, but also to have them like reverse flow heads and everything with like the hot V with the turbos within the V shape of the car. And then one of the quotes was, with consistency, where there's consistency there's truth. So if that is the best way to kind of design a car engine today, then it's not that weird to see manufacturers come up with similar to solutions to similar problems. And I guess it's also true in nature. And if you just look around at, you know, if something is trying to fly, usually it has wings. That is kind of the comparison I made for it. But you can kind of use that same principle to design stuff around. So that is kind of what I've been doing. Let's see. I'm really selective and picky, and like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the lines and stuff. At least in my regular life, I'm not really like that. But I don't know why. As soon as I get behind a computer and I work on something, I turn into a different person. But I'm really meticulous about this stuff. That is also why this video will probably be like an hour long. So the next thing is to create, basically drag the surfaces across from one another and create a surfaces between them, and that is how simple it is. So again, within the surface tab, you will have lofted surface, and then you just select one, select the other, and then use the guide curve. So you have a guide curve right here, you have one right there, you will have one right there, and one in the back. So also you need to kind of take a look at it, because sometimes it will create like weird indentations in places where you don't have guide curves. So then it will kind of be wise to also put a guide curve right here in the middle, and you could kind of use all of these points right here, if you would line them up correctly, that you could also put like a nice pattern in there that is kind of exactly what you want it to be. But right now in my case, it's showing that it's supposed to be like that is going straight as it is supposed to. So you can also see that once you've used like a couple of sketches in a guide curve like that, it is also taken away all of those sketches and it will hide them. So you can just, you do that to kind of showcase all of them again, and then they will stay in there so that you can use them over and over again, basically. So yeah, that is also something that I always do. So the next will be basically this center line, and it's again the same process, just repeating it over and over again. Now here at this point, I'm gonna use also again the 3D sketch, and I'm gonna put this point yeah, I'm gonna use this point, and I kind of wanted to attach but to fade in that part right there. Yeah, I need to kind of look at it from multiple angles because I don't want it to go down, it needs to stay straight. So kind of take that point again and put it at -180. It will be very hollow, the whole car. Like it will have a lot of shapes that kind of let air flow through the car. I think when James from Mr. James WW, if you guys are like car YouTube fans as I am, but on his channel, when he was describing the Valkyrie or the other the I think it was maybe the Valhalla, maybe one of those Aston Martins, the new mid-engine ones, he said negative space to describe like the hollowness of the car. I think that's a good term to put it in. So that is kind of the negative space that I want to create within this car. Okay, so now that we have that line, we can already kind of use the sketch. And maybe this is way too over exaggerated, as if a guide when it comes to the guide pattern curvature for like that front wing section. But for now, I'm gonna just use it to see how it will look and how it will end up in. So here I kind of wanted to come down to this point, and then to have like all that air that is kind of centered in the front of the car right there to flow through everything. So I should also make one curve that is from this point up until here somewhere. I think that would be a better thing to do. So if you would kind of from this point forward create a line onto which the rest of the headlight would kind of sit. So I think this would then attach here. If you would have that curvature. something like that. And from the front, if you would kind of make it follow that, and then this would be the headlight design. I think that is way aggressive and everything. And again, my battery power is cutting off. I'm gonna just keep on going for a couple of minutes and then I'll be finished. Let's pull up a picture of the Acura, how they're doing it. I think that would give a little bit of an insight on, because I just don't have like a vision of how it's supposed to look, I guess. Acura, I think it was a LMP Daytona or something. LMP Daytona. Yeah, this is it. Damn, what is a good angle for that thing? So they just have like a rounded off and it just goes in straight. It doesn't really have like a nice curvature to it. I think I could do something like that too with the headlight design, but then I would need to make like the actual wheel section, that the part of the car that will enclose the wheel. I would need to make that first to have the rest of that kind of attached to it, I guess. But this is what I meant in the beginning of the video. This car that kind of has a similar kind of front wing to it here underneath it. I like that design. I just hated the car, but I like that kind of thing, so I wanted to incorporate it in one of my cars, but just do it with my kind of design to it. So if I would now kind of take this line and attach it to this one right here and use that headline shape to it. And this already looks better than the previous one that I came up with. But still, I don't know how that would kind of work with the rest of the car. Let's kind of get an idea of the overall dimensions and the shape of this thing. And then I will be able to take plane 4, select mirror, and then put all of those surfaces in there. I just want to get an overall feel of like the dimensions and like, you know, just the curvatures and everything. Oh yeah, this thing is gonna be sexy for sure. Because so this is important to do, because sometimes you don't really get a grasp of how wide the headlights would be according to like the whole car if you don't see it like this. So this kind of gives me like the space in my head to think about whether, like, you know, where to take these shapes and stuff. That is, you kind of need to see it in its totality. Just the only question that I have in my mind right now is how are people actually gonna get in and out of this thing. That's it. Damn. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video because my battery on my camera is kind of dying off. But yeah, I'm gonna just figure out a way to edit this without like losing a bunch of memory, because this video is already like an hour and then they're 2 hours long. So yeah, thanks for watching. Part 2 coming very soon, and I'm gonna see you guys in another video. My name is Veldboom. I'm out.